Hey gang, thought I'd bring you on a little trip down memory lane for the renovation of Music Hall. First, a couple of disclaimers. This is from the point of view of a photographer, really. I am not an art historian, I am not an architectural historian. Yeah, I started the project really just with an eye towards um, creating fun pictures. And it sort of developed into a journaling almost of the progress and the workers who did the work. So I hope you recognize this is an after picture. And here we go. Okay, this is a little pixelated, out of focus, but I like to start with these first couple of pictures. I don't know if you recognize who the artist might be on these, but let's see. I think this one is signed. It's Jackson Pollock, and as you can see here, it looks like a Jackson Pollock, but it's actually one of the painters from the renovation. It's his T-shirt, and I just thought that was so much fun, and I think I'm going to have to make a T-shirt out of this print one day. But let's get on to business. When I first imagined this project, I was envisioning cool pictures like this. Photographers like fire, sparks, they like reflections and wonder crazy light. And, so this is what I had in my mind, but it didn't quite work out that way. It was pretty ordinary in the beginning. Um, it was pictures like this, which was a little discouraging actually. But as you can see here, the this chandelier has been lowered. It's got these tags on it. They're numbered. It's going to be cleaned and restored, and some of them are reused. Some of them were sold. Um, and Friends of Music Hall actually took care of the cost associated with many of these chandeliers. Um, so it's taken apart piece by piece and packaged up. And also the gargoyles or gremlins and from the hallways were taken down, and I think, I'm not sure if these were sold or just if they're still in storage. Not clear on that, but everything must go. Here you can see this chandelier being taken apart piece by piece. It's a pretty tedious job. Everything must go, just like the reflections in here and the shapes. And here's Mr. Springer himself. It's an interesting perspective, I thought, and he is being well taken care of, although it looks a little dicey for him here. I was into it a few weeks before I started noticing some what to me were more fun pictures. This sort of reminded me of Egyptian bas relief. This silhouette. As you can see, some of the seats have already been removed here. Down below is this is a protection curtain for work that's going on behind it. Underneath the underside of the balcony here, they're removing the ceiling, and it's to keep asbestos out of the air and dust. Containment curtain. And like I said, this was a very labor-intensive project. Like just each piece of the chandelier was taken off one piece at a time. Well, there were 35 or 3,600 seats to start with, and they left 4 at a time or 2 at a time. That's a lot of trips out of the building. And as you can see, a lot of the seats are gone in this panorama view of Springer Auditorium. And oh, there's the containment curtain up. And as you'll see, I started having some fun with all the shadows and silhouettes. It's like she's closing the curtain on the old music hall. I spent a lot of time photographing these guys working on the other side of that curtain. So here, this is the main chandelier that most of you are familiar with. You're probably all familiar with it. I think it's about 17 feet across, 7,000 pieces. I probably have my numbers wrong, but it's a crazy number, and it's room size. You can get a little bit of sense of the scale here. So this was packed up a piece at a time, and the chandelier was cleaned. All the crystal was cleaned. It was rewired. I'll show you later on. There's a few features that were added to it. And I'm pretty sure Friends of Music Hall were involved in this. Here's the containment curtain. It's moved to the second floor, and I call this the Ghost of Music Hall. Channel 9 used this picture on a news story, and I've got a lot of wacky emails about the Ghosts of Music Hall. But this is just a long shutter on camera's on a tripod. You can see the worker's helmet here, and this is his safety vest that he's wearing. But I did process it to give it a little ghostly look. Again, this is one of the kinds of pictures I was hoping to see. This is down in the basement. I love the work lights and the silhouette and the colors. This is one of my favorite places to go when they were working on it. Was the basement. Dirt floor for most of it, not all of it. So this is an old tank that was down there. There have been many renovations to the hall to varying degrees over the years, but in general, all the old HVAC stuff, all the old tanks, that was all left behind. On this renovation, they pretty much made it a clean slate, got rid of all that stuff. And this is a pretty telling picture. The dirt floor. I had no idea that the entire floor was dirt underneath. You know, you can see they've started extending the pit area. Through these doors here, it sort of reminds me of Roman Colosseum or something. There are hallways, and basically, and the hallways you can exit to the outside. So basically, the only equipment they could get in here was things that would fit through these doorways and through these hallways in the basement to do this work. Here you can see this is where the original floor was supported on these brick supports and pitched down. So when they put in a new floor, they changed the pitch. They increased the pitch a little bit. And we'll see more of that later. And I enjoyed the lighting and watching these guys work down there. This is in the pit area. It's pretty amazing. Different type of instruments to be seen in music hall. You know, I started seeing, I'm sure many are familiar with the murals in the Cincinnati Museum Center, and I started seeing some of those same iconic sites or pictures, and had a lot of fun with that in this project, whether it was groupings of men or in this case the shadows. Another one, I'm playing with the silhouette and the light. This is the head electrician on the job. I loved working with these guys. They really, their world couldn't be different than mine. but they really welcomed me in, and I felt like really part of the the gang. And guys would tell me about their families, and we would share about our hopes and fears, and it was really a wonderful experience for me. So Corbett Tower, Friends of Music Hall were very responsible for what happened in this place, from the cleaning, restoration of some of the chandeliers, and more. I'll show you. I have a. So keep that in mind. That picture is taken through this hole in the floor. So what's Corbett Towers on the 3rd floor music hall. So we're looking down through the lobby, and this is the strap lowering down the chandelier so it can be packaged up on the ground floor. You can see they lost the drop ceiling, thank goodness. And you can just maybe make out some of the old stenciling. There it is, that old stenciling. And Friends of Music Hall had these copied, and I'll show you some of that work later, and had the ceiling restored. And there's these, you can just see a little bit of the old coved windows up there. And Friends of Music Hall were also responsible for 90 odd windows getting unbricked. And a few of them were in this room. You can get a better view of the windows here and the stenciling. So there was a lot of work that happened in the attic of the building, and access in general to any work inside of music hall was pretty limited. It had to go through windows, and to get things up to the upper level in the attic, basically it would come through windows and it would go up this scaffold staircase through this hole cut in the ceiling. Pretty remarkable. More on that later. You know, I just showed you this. I've done a lot of still life work. This is on my kitchen table, and it sort of informed some of the pictures that I was seeing as I was roaming around music hall. Still life with hammer. And you know, this is also in Corbett Tower, and I just love the light in there, and it has that genre look, or genre scene, and still life lighting. And you know, what really made the lighting wonderful are these fantastically dusty windows filtering in the light. And you know, going back to that still life, you know, it's sort of Dutch, like the Dutch painters, right? And they, as you know, they also did genre painting, what's today's called genre painting, as well as still lifes. And this sort of was that for me. And it looks like snow out there, but it's just those dusty windows. Still life, broom and shovel. I love the handprints up here. This is in a nook and cranny that nobody ever went. Underneath a storage room, underneath a stairway between the main building and the south building. And just a lot of junk. And I just love the colors and the textures of the walls. I wish I had taken that ladder with me. Just another kind of still life, photographing the light coming in through the windows in the Corbett Tower. You know, actually, I'm going to go back. What I noticed for the first time yesterday when I was putting this together is the handprint on the corner of that table. just another abstract. This is upstage, you know, having nothing to do with the progress of the demolition and reconstruction, just photographer's eye, light and shadows. This is actually a big yellow box. It was nice in color too, but I enjoyed the all the shapes and shadows. They're like harp strings. This is in the basement. What did I say? Photographers like, you know, reflections, fire, flames, sparks. Well, this is simply, this abstract photograph is simply a reflection. This is water. Here's a fan. Here's the reflection of the fan. And this is a reflection just above, just out of the picture to the north here, of pipes going through a wall. I thought it made a fun abstract. Another one. This is up in the attic. This is the decorative grid surrounding the area where the main chandelier cable would go. So we're looking down. This is the, I boosted the saturation to give it a fun look, but basically this is the dirt floor with colored by, you know, work lights. And you can just see a little bit, there's a worker down here, and that's his torch. And this is a part of the escalator, yeah. Out with the old, in with the new. This is obviously the out with the old part. Reflections. This was heading out for lunch, and I don't know if it had just rained or they're doing some work in there. I just love the reflections and the color of that building. Okay, here we're back at it, but it's another one of those iconic workman pictures. This is the O'Rourke team. They are demolition experts, and often you'll see in these pictures they're taking the floor out from underneath themselves, and that's exactly what they're doing here. This is way upstage, back wall of the upstage area. There's a second floor with offices and a rehearsal room, and they're removing that. Again, those iconic pictures. And you know, I remember this, all the materials they need would have to come in through windows, and all the demolition stuff would have to go out the windows. There's old St. Mary's. We're looking east. Okay, I got another black and white. Yeah. I just love the shadows and silhouettes. Again, another one of those iconic poses. Here's the O'Rourke guys again removing, we're on the gallery level, and they're removing the floor, taking the floor out from underneath themselves. These beams will stay. These are the original beams, and that's the original flooring. And they took out the flooring, but the support beams stayed. And this is in the attic again. That same type of shapes and iconic worker poses. They're positioning this I-beam into place. They added a lot of supports above the stage to help support the rigging for sets and lighting and things like that. Again, the O'Rourke guys taking the floor out from underneath themselves. Beams falling down. All this stuff is in midair, about to hit the deck. You can see some of the containment curtain there. So with the chandelier and one of the other pictures, I can't think of right now, but it's like I said, things were done a piece at a time, a lot of man hours. Things were brought in through windows and doorways from the outside. Here we are in the basement. He's bringing in some scaffolding. And, you can't just drive a truck up and dump all the scaffolding or all the material you need. It's got to come in a piece at a time. And here this fellow is bringing in the scaffolding a piece at a time. This is like a little trap door, and there's a trap door on the sidewalk up here. We're on the west side of Music Hall, on the Central Parkway side. And just a piece at a time comes in and out. This is more scaffolding coming in through the window of Corbett Tower. You can see more containment curtain in that picture. So here they've got the form for the floor in Springer Auditorium in at this point, and he is putting down rebar for cement. And here we have a sea of rebar. This is just, can you imagine all the hours that it took to put this in? Here you can get a good view of the underside of the balcony and the original supports. Remember this for later. Here are the capitals of these support beams. Sparks and flames and reflections. Had a lot of fun when I saw the grinders come out, or the torches. So here's an I-beam that he's grinding. And I know I have a few like melt marks in the coating on my lenses from getting just a little too close. I call this a witch's cauldron. These guys, this is the O'Rourke team again. They're in that same area from the earlier picture, and I love the shape of the men here, and not to mention more flames. He's got a torch there, and the guy with the hose. Piece at a time, right? So this is part of the old HVAC system in the basement, and it was gigantic, and to get it out, they had to cut it apart. That's what he's doing, using a torch to cut it out. And I had a lot of fun following these guys. This was what they used to move the larger pieces out. Looked like something from an Alien movie. Not the Alien movie, just the generic Alien movie. Again, lighting. I saw all the shadows created here by the rails, and I just waited for someone to walk into them. And I love the colors, and again, the way the light fell. Same thing here, beautiful light coming in through this window here, and all the smoke by his work. Back in here was where the picture of the chair and the ladder is. It was back in this way. And this, note this incredible stairway and railing. I didn't see this anywhere else in the building. This area is between the main building and the south building. And this stairway will take you down to another stairway over here, which will bring you down to the ballroom. And behind me is one of my favorite rooms, and I think I've got a picture or two of it. This is another thing with funny lighting, right? It looks like I've processed the heck out of this. No, it's just there's different, light sources have different colors, and the camera sensor's so confused. There's like at least two different colors of work lights. There's an open, roof is open up here, so there's natural light coming through, confusing it further, and the camera just saw this. And of course I loved all the shadows and the shapes and everything as well. This is a stairway. This is a new stairway that they built up to something they called the mechanical mezzanine, where a big chunk of the new HVAC system is, and it's perched on top of, it's really the area, it was like a covering to a carriageway. And there's basically a new building on top of the main building where they house the HVAC system, or parts of it. Just sort of a pensive moment. Again, I was photographing the light and the shapes. This is just a favorite hallway of mine. I loved this window. I loved the view out of it, and of course I don't have pictures of the view out of it included here, but and I loved this space in here, and I think I have a picture of that. Yeah, it reminded me of like a Hopper painting, just the mood. Maybe it was the colors and the shapes. So this is what I referred to a few pictures back of my favorite room. I called it the Rapunzel Tower. Just the shape of the window and the view just reminded me of, you know, the childhood tale of Rapunzel, let down your hair. And basically it was just storage for junk. You know, this is old carpeting. This is an old prop from a Kitty concert. And again, I love the textures, and the windows were beautifully dirty, let in wonderful light. There's another picture of it. Later became a locked storage room. Soon after this picture, I couldn't get in because they were storing cabling in here. And this is just outside that room. I showed you just a glimpse of the area down in here with that fellow working, and that incredible railing, and some fun graffiti. I think I have some close-ups. Yeah, Music Hall 1950, I think it is. And actually this is graffiti, but this is from the stairway from backstage up to the catwalk. Our plate was laid on this date, 1983. There was a lot of graffiti, and a lot of it I couldn't show you. This is a family-friendly slideshow. So this is pretty amazing, I thought. These nested boards, beams, and so all this, you know, I don't think I included pictures of it, but they built right on top of this. They increased this pitch, so they built right on top of this with like a new level for the new seating. And here you can see all the new conduit for cabling and new HVAC system. And here's a close-up of some of those nested support beams. Just amazing. There's the mural where the chandelier would come down. And there's that decorative grill or grating that I showed you that abstract photo of earlier on. So here we are down in the basement again, my favorite place, and this is the lobby or hallway between the auditorium to get rid of all the little steps that used to be over here to make it wheelchair accessible. And here you can see the stage door going, or the door going to backstage. And if you remember, I talked about earlier on, looking into the auditorium, about how it reminded me of like a Roman Colosseum or something. I mean, these would be areas that the equipment would drive through, and the equipment couldn't be any bigger than this area here. Just to give you an idea of the constraints put on. So for many, many years, the Cincinnati Symphony's staff worked in these little windowless cubicles, and finally they got some window light. These are a couple of the windows of the 90-odd windows that Friends of Music Hall underwrote to get opened up. And of course I was attracted just by the light coming through here, and I waited for someone to walk into it. So here you can see the back in the auditorium in Springer, the original beams have been covered up, the pitch has been increased, and this is the basis of where the new seating will go. And notice the scaffolding in here. Come back to that. There's a better view of it. You can also see more of the ductwork and conduit that's all tucked away in there. So they put up all the scaffolding in order to work on the ceiling. It goes up about 12 feet from the ceiling, and then they have smaller scaffolding to get up there to do painting, restoration work, electrical work. And again, there's a lot of pretty remarkable things in this project, and this is pretty extraordinary. That's a lot of scaffolding. So the top part they refer to as the dance floor. Here you go. This area is going to be repainted, obviously, and he's putting up this protective plastic. And they call this the dance floor. And this woman here is, actually there's two women working here, and she's got a tiny little brush and a little rag in there cleaning and restoring the mural. There's a close-up view. And there's an after shot. You can see here's that decorative grating that I'd done some photographing through, and it's been painted and cleaned. So I'm in the attic, and I'm photographing down that scaffold staircase through the hole in the ceiling of Corbett Tower. And so the rose window is, so you come up those stairs, and the rose windows are right up here, just out of the picture and to the left. So actually I'm going to go back one. So I talked about, the only way in were through windows and doors. And so they would bring things in through these windows and up these stairways for anything that needed to go into the attic. And that includes ductwork, this man-sized ductwork. It's pretty extraordinary. I saw them install so much of it. You can see some of it installed here. And it basically ringed the entire attic. And, like I said, that this whole area would be filled within a week. And I thought, oh, well, I guess they're done. And I showed up, a week later, and there's additional tons of scaffolding. Can you hear one of my external hard drives rattling? I think I'm going to have to replace that pretty quickly. So here's a picture I did with an old Rolleiflex camera that I shot about half a dozen rolls of film, and this was one of them. I just left the guys in mid-step and beautiful backlighting. It's fun. Lots of cable went into this project, many miles. There was a time when I knew how many miles, but I don't recall anymore. But of course, once you load it all in, you got to figure out where it goes. I called this macrame. The remarkable thing is when the project was done and the switches were flipped, everything worked. sort of an abstract picture of the underside of, I don't know if it was the balcony or the gallery seating, where you can see just how much cabling and HVAC and venting and all that. So everything came in a piece at a time, things went out a piece at a time. This is the old escalator. The way they're getting it out is cutting it up into pieces and hauling it out. And I've got a series of pictures of that old escalator. Here there is, they're easing it down. You can see the chains over here. Here we're up on the second floor. Oh, well, here actually, I have this out of order. Here the new escalator's gone in now. And here's the stringer they're putting in for the new stairway. And there it is. This picture should come before the other one. But what's kind of interesting, what's very interesting, is that this same day that this was going in, they were having a little powwow on the floor with a handful of the guys, and they had some of the plans, you know, from IKEA, the IKEA plans laid out on the floor, and I heard them talking about regarding putting up the stairway. It's like, I guess we're going to have to move the escalator over 3 inches. And brings me to a point. I remember hearing Brian Campbell, who works for Messer, and he was in charge of this whole thing, and talking about what an incredible team they had working on this. And when problems like this would come up, they would just be able to fix it on the fly and fix it correctly and not have to waste the day sending things up through the food chain. And here's an after shot. I don't have too many before and after shots, but here is the stairway and the escalator. This is Chris. He worked for Evergreen Architectural, and that was the company that restored a lot of the plasterwork. They did the restorations in Corbett Tower, and in this case, Chris is cleaning these capitals that will go on the supports in Springer Auditorium, and he's cleaning them so he can make these latex molds, and that enables him to make new capitals. And also you can see some of the trim work they've made. Some of the trim was damaged here and there, and they would also make molds and create new trim. And here they're installing it, and obviously it'll get painted. Yeah, so here's the dance floor in Corbett Tower. All that scaffolding. Here's the workstation or the dance floor for their work on the ceiling, where they are going to, among other things, patch the hole that went up to the attic. And here you can see some of the unbricked windows, coved windows. And here we are still up on the dance floor here. Here's the ceiling of Corbett Tower. And this is not stenciling. In this case, it's like wallpaper that will go around the ceiling. And here's Anne laying down the paint under the stencil that they've created. It looks terrific. There's another one. And here's a detail. There we go. So Friends of Music Hall also was involved with restoring these chandeliers, and a couple of them went back in Corbett Tower. And here, each time they would raise these up, the chandelier would spin ever so slowly. So I had the camera on a tripod with a long shutter speed, just having some fun. And here is an after picture. pretty cool. This is another project from Friends Music Hall. These are the carved surrounds from the old organ, and they tracked them down, had them restored and installed here in what is called the Taft Suite. And I have another out of order picture coming up, a better view of the entire room, and it's now used as a greeting room, a meeting room, party room. It's right outside the backstage area. Okay. So here, let's go back. They were another Friends of Music Hall project. Oh, I skipped ahead a lot. Let me go to grid view here, guys, and get back to where I want to be. Uh-oh. There we go. Let's go here. So these guys are unbricking the windows. And actually, I believe this is outside the ladies' restroom on the gallery level. Pretty sure. Keep that in mind. I have pictures of that later. And another thing Friends of Music Hall underwrote was, actually I'm going to go back a picture to point something out. You can see there's some darker areas on the brick here. Well, these were stained. It was a very interesting design, some of it echoing a piano keyboard. And I guess in the 70s it was in a restoration. They cleaned the outside of the building, sandblasted, I think, and away went the staining. So in this next picture you can see stain being reapplied, and it ended up looking really cool. I loved that. I was so surprised how great it looked. There's another close-up of a finished area. Actually, why this is in here is, well, I like the picture, but this guy's staining the outside of the rose window as well. There it is. Another project that Friends of Music Hall is doing now is, actually it's going on right now, is we are December 2020, and is repairing and replacing these finials. Some of them are broken, some of them are missing. Well, here's O'Rourke again, cutting the floor out from underneath themselves. I mean, I just love the light here. This is the old freight elevator, and of course I took the picture because of the light and the rainbow. What happened when once the elevator was gone and the floors or these areas were prepared, is floors went in. So on the ground floor there's a meeting room, and on this floor I think is an area for the caterers, and I have a picture of that coming up as well. As you can see, I went anywhere for a picture. This is the south building roof. Actually, I would not. They replaced the roof on the main building as well, but that was like a 5-story ladder straight up the side of the building, and I was not going to climb that baby. Here they created another space. This has become this was basically a storage space in the loading dock area, and this has become a rehearsal space and a performance space. And we're looking at a window from the Symphony Hotel right across the street. What's kind of interesting, this guy is the mentor for the younger fellow in the previous picture, in the Mason Union, and I just love the flying masonry here. light. Okay, so they were unbricking these windows a few pictures ago. Actually, it was on this east-facing wall. Here we're facing south. But this is the ladies' room. They're beautiful windows. I was afraid that they were going to put the suspended ceiling back in. But as you'll see, this is the opposite tower. This is the men's room. They put in shades, they painted it, and they only put in a partial ceiling so you could see these details, which I thought was a great option. So this is one of those rooms that got created from the removal of the freight elevator. This guy Charlie, he's quite a character. I loved following him around. I love the light in these rooms because the windows were so beautifully dirty. They really filtered the light nicely. And so this will be, they'll pour cement on top of this. So I'm back up in the attic, shooting through that decorative grill again, looking down, and these uplights were added to light the mural, the newly restored mural. And this is the new chandelier going in. And it went in a piece at a time. An interesting story is, so they removed this, they packaged it up, obviously, piece at a time, well labeled, well documented, got cleaned, restored, rewired in St. Louis by a company that handles this sort of thing. And before they brought it back to be installed, they practiced putting it back together in their warehouse in St. Louis. And then obviously they had to pack it up again. Piece at a time again. Armrest at a time. Oops. Getting out of hand here. Let me just do this and I'll go back to where I really want to be. There we go. Piece at a time. It's interesting. These are vents that were put in. I should have showed you the pictures. They poured a cement floor and then they drilled out all these cores, these cement cores. I have pictures of that, but not here. But when the hall was first built, this is essentially how it was cooled. There were vents in the ceiling they would open up. There were holes in the floor. And when the vents were open, there was this passive airflow that would occur. And basically, similar root technology, only now it's forced air. I don't know why this is so out of order, but you can see the progress going on the stairway and the new escalators. That's the second floor. Here they're installing the support beams for the pit. And I believe before it was a hydraulic system, and now it's these chains. Essentially, they're just chains. Not sure how that works. I don't need to know. These are the acoustic clouds, and they are adjustable, height and pitch and all like that. This is about a week or two before the hall opened. I remember showing up. I hadn't been in a couple of weeks, and I showed up, and I thought, man, they are never going to get this ready in time. But if you were there opening night, you know they did. This is the other shot of the Taft Suite. And it's a beautiful room. It's really cool. So this used to be part of a carriageway, and made use of every space they could. Here's Reuben Springer making it back on the scene. He got himself a new podium. There we go. Platform. And I just loved how these two were having a moment together. And the chandeliers are coming back into Corbett Tower. And they got put back together a piece at a time. And this is opening night. Pretty sparkly. I love this woman's dress. She's actually comes to a lot of concerts, sits in the first and second row. I didn't even know it was her. I didn't realize it was her until she turned around when I was taking the picture. Her dress caught my eye. And a nice looking stage door. Musicians making it back on the scene. All looks really good. Can't wait to a little playing like this again. Oh, that's my bass. I didn't even realize that. How about that? Here's Louis. Cheers. This is intermission. And after the concert, oh, the story behind this picture. You know, obviously I'm hand holding this. It's a really long shutter speed. It's blurry, but I love how the camera confused the lighting and accentuated the lighting. And I showed it to Louis on the back of the camera, and you know, he was not so enamored with it. But you know, I sent a copy to his wife, and she loved it. So I'm sharing it with you. And then everyone went home. I was one of the last people left. I thought this was an appropriate ending. All looks great. Those newly opened windows. So I've done a book of this, Through the Lens, Remaking of Cincinnati's Music Hall. And if you're interested in purchasing a copy of this, half the cost will go to Friends of Music Hall. And here's a few quick looks at the chapter pages, chapter headings. And thanks for watching.